أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين الهداة المهديين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أعداء الله من الآن إلى لقاء يوم الدين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين فبشر عباد الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه أولئك الذين هداهم الله وأولئك هم أولو الألباب صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the honor of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, his companions and his family recited salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. This is a very important ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes our approach toward youth. This is related to some of the question I got. And also our attitude in general toward all the massive amount of information that we are encountering on daily basis. You look at Twitter, people are, packaging their ideas, their opinions. You look at when you pick up a book to read, somebody have an opinion, a strong opinion, how to do things right. And everybody have their own approach, their own worldview, their own solutions to the problems of the world. The Quran's approach is فَبَشِّرْ ibad, give this glad tiding, this great news to the servants of God, that they the ultimate salvation, ultimate success, bishara is for them. Who are these true servants of God that they ultimately will be happy? You know, bush in Arabic means when you're happy, when you have a smile. And bishr and bush is usually come from the roots of the source of being joyous. And Allah said, who have this uh, sense of joy and sense of happiness, said, الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلِ, those who listen first to the words, فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَ, then they apply and then they implement what is considered to be the best. And then Allah said, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ هَدَاهُمُ اللَّهُ, these are the guided ones. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ, and these are the possessors of intellect. And in tafsir, they said this قَوْلَ أَحْسَن, the best word, the best speech is the word of Allah. Anything that stems from God is ahsan, because Allah is Hasan. Allah is the source of whatever good is in the universe. So His word is the most beautiful and the most good word you can find. Because any other words is usually get tainted by desires, by bias, by human interest. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Samad, He doesn't have any of those attachments. So His word is the most perfect of word that you can find. So there is a wisdom in the teaching of Quran, but sometimes we try to understand it, and there are different way of understanding of Quran. That's the reason Allah made sure that there is a teacher with the book. With this manual, there's going to be a teacher, and that's the Prophet. And after the Prophet, there are going to be guardians, protector of that message. So some people like Abu Sufyan and Muawiyah and Yazid and Bani Abbas and so on and so forth, as we can see in the Muslim world today, they do not hijack Quran and try to give their own twist, their own understanding of Quran with their own dark mind. And Quran says it clearly that if a zalim, if an oppressor, if a tyrant come to Quran, لا يزيد الظالمين إلا خسارة. If somebody recite Quran as they are an oppressor, as they are somebody who's oppressed themselves, mean if a sinner recite Quran and their understanding of it is, I want to understand this. I don't try to what God is telling me. I try to understand it myself with my own perception. لا يزيد الظالمين إلا خسارة. You will not gain anything but more loss. Why is that? Why is that? And one of the very famous saying, and but basically one of the uh, accepted even in psychology, they say is about perception, is that uh, you see what you want to see. right? You see what you want to see. Means that our perception, it could be easily manipulated, could be easily affected by our own mind. Forget about, external causes, propagandas, governments, news, all that. Our own mind, our own desires can manipulate that. When we look at something, we can easily see oppression and call it something else. For example, people who do ghiba and gossip, right? Our own mind plays a game with us and said, "You're not doing gossip. What are you doing? You're exposing the liars, hypocrites. You're saying the truth. You're not lying." That's the perception. Gossip and backbiting in Islam is greater than adultery in the magnitude of sin, right? But the Muslim or the human being's mind finds a justification for it. Give your own twist that I'm not doing anything wrong. When I'm talking behind that brother or sister, I'm trying to help the community to know this true evil. And even we even go and take it to the next level and call ourselves the follower of Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali was a man of haqq and truth. I am the follower and Shia of Ali. I cannot stay quiet and do not do ghiba. That's one thing. Secondly, when it comes to people who, for example, let's say they're earning haram income, haram money, and they said, "Brother, this is haram." I said, "No, no, no. I'm providing for my family. I'm not doing it for myself." People come to me and say, "Sheikh, Allah knows that," and I believe them, and they're saying the truth. That I got this job and I'm making more money not because I'm buying new shoes or new clothes or new car for myself. I only do it for my family. So what I'm doing, I'm making a sacrifice. When in reality, all these justification is not going to reduce the level of the wrong that we do, because ultimately we're doing the haram. We're committing the haram. But perception of the man impacts everything, affects everything. We see what we want to see. Just, turning the blind eye, ignoring the truth as it is part of the human being's nature. That's the reason towards Quran, if a zalim read Quran like Yazid. Yazid looked at Hazrat Zainab salamullah alayha, and what he said to Hazrat Zainab? يُعِزُّ مَن يَشَاءُ وَيُذِلُّ مَن يَشَاءُ. He recited ayah. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي. That the izzah, the life and death, the dignity and humiliation, the honor and dignity, all is coming from God. And he recited that ayah of Quran to say, this was his understanding of Quran, that God honored me and that's why I was the victorious in the battle of Karbala. And God humiliated you, God forbid, because your family were killed. And the response of Zainab salamullah alayha was that my perception is very different from what you see. Ma ra'aytu illa jamila. I saw nothing but beauty, because what we sacrifice for, that's the beauty of Quran. When you look at the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, when you look at the story of Prophet Yahya, these are the people who sacrifice. These are the beauties of the human legacy. Human history, the beauty of they come from the sacrifice. That's the beauty as Zainab saw. But Yazid used Quran with his own perception. That's the reason the Quran says if a zalim reads and recites Quran, it will be add more to their misguidance. As we saw what happened with Daesh quoting Quran. As you can see what the certain movement, the extreme movement, they're quoting Quran. So that's the reason we have to stick with the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family. Recite the salawat. So this qawla ahsan, this the most perfect and the most beautiful speech and word that we can look as the word of Allah, and the word of Allah is being protected by the teacher prophet, and the word of the prophet is protected by his family. That's the hierarchy we follow. And when it comes to the topic that we've been talking about, balance, one of the way to maintain that balance, we talked about the importance of time management. That Imam Kazim and Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam's hadith, we talked about it. That there should be management. Then Imam Baqir alayhi salam, there's a hadith that these could be, I think, a perfect addition to the hadith of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. So Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. So, alamatul mu'mini thalathun. There are three signs for people who's a true believer, a true faithful human being. There are three signs. Number one, Imam alayhi salam said, Husnu taqdir fil ma'isha. A well management of your livelihood is the first sign of a mu'min. So you know how to manage your ma'ishat, your livelihood. Yusuf alayhi salam is an example of that, right? So tawakkul, reliance on Allah, Allah is Razzaq, Allah is Raziq, all is true. But that's not an excuse for a human being to mismanage the blessing of God, because we have tradition that there is a specific group of people that their du'as will not be answered. There are a group of people that what we consider their du'a is, as we say in du'a kumail, Allahumma khfir liya dhunub allati tahbisud du'a. Their du'as are blocked. So the hadith said, who are the people that the du'as will be blocked and they will not be answered? One of them, Imam alayhi salam said, are the people who Allah gave them the rizq, the blessing, the sustenance, and they wasted it. Because of mismanagement, because of lack of management, they lost it. They were, wasting it. They were, they chose to invest the money in the wrong place. They took great risk on the investment, and they lost all those blessing of God. When they make a dua for, Ya Allah, give me rizq, the answer it will be negative, because Allah said, I already gave you and you wasted it. So what are you asking for? Something that you already been granted. So you have to first recover from that damage until you will be, inshallah, qualified for a new blessing. So that's husn al-taqdir fil ma'isha, is the first sign of mu'min. The story of Yusuf alayhi salam, the 12th chapter of Quran, is that you know that one of the blessing of God to Prophet Yusuf was the interpretation of dream. So as the king of Egypt, with the Aziz of the Misr, he saw in his dream, they brought Yusuf alayhi salam to interpret his dream. And the interpretation of the dream of the king was that Yusuf alayhi salam said there will be 7 years of good harvest. It will be, we could have, whatever we're planning to uh, gain from the blessing of God in the first 7 years. But the second 7 year will be an extreme and a very difficult drought. So that is the interpretation of the dream. So what should we do about it? Management. So Yusuf alayhi salam became the manager, the treasury. He was the treasurer who made sure in the first 7 years, as they were harvesting, they saved for the second 7 year that it was coming. And when the time of drought hit them, because alhamdulillah they had silos and everything ready, they were able to pass the difficult moment. So that's husnul ma'isha. If a mu'min do not have a saving, that's not part of iman. That's not tawakkul ala Allah. If you do not have an emergency fund, let's say, because not that many people have insurance, unfortunately, and we know why is that. So if somebody does not have an emergency fund for that, and we get hit by it, when we could do something about it, these are the management we have to ask ourselves. I'm not talking about having hundreds and hundreds of thousands saved somewhere and just inshallah leave it for the children to fight over it and become an inheritance blood fight over that. But I'm talking about people who literally they can make some saving, but they choose to spend every paycheck. Those that, thanks to credit cards, they spend their money before even they earn it. So it's very important when it comes to the management of ma'isha. It's important. Tawakkul has to be there. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, a mu'min, Imam Baqir said, a mu'min must be able to manage their livelihood well. وَالصَّبْرُ عَلَى النَّائِبَةِ. The second one, Imam said, the sign of a mu'min is patience in the face of calamities and difficulties. Because sometimes you manage, you save, but still there's going to be hardship. You can, survive with the saving for 2-3 months, but it's going to be a moment that the life is a bit more difficult. So having patience, not losing your calm because of a bit of difficulty, or it may be an extreme difficulty, that's a second sign of a mu'min. Because you understand that the dunya is a cycle. سَيَجْعَلُ اللَّهُ بَعْدَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. There will be difficulty, there will be ease. That's the way life is. That's the way heartbeat works, right? When you look at the pattern of heartbeat, it's not a constant. So the life, the reason we enjoy happy moments is because of the existence of the sad moments. If you're able to enjoy, laughter is because there are tears. If somebody is not capable of crying, showing any sad emotions, what do we call that person? A psychopath. If somebody is not able to express emotion, they do not even feel sad, they do not feel any kind of guilt or anything, psychopath. So it's not healthy for somebody to laugh all the time. So if somebody is laughing in the middle of somebody's funeral, you're not going to say, oh, it's okay, this is a happy guy. So we need that balance. Patience in the face of calamity. وَالصَّبْرُ عَلَى النَّائِبَةِ is the second one. Imam Baghr alayhi salam. Recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And the third one, inshallah, we have, I think, if you tell me, inshallah, when we have to finish because we started a bit different this year. What time we have to finish? Inshallah. Recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And if brothers, inshallah, come a bit forward, I would appreciate. Jazakallah khair. If you stand up and come forward, it would be much easier for everyone, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Jazakallah khair. So the third one, Imam alayhi salam said, وَالتَّفَقُّهْ فِي الدِّينِ. Understanding and studying your faith is the third sign of a mu'min. So how you can be mu'min if you don't understand what iman is truly. So these are the three signs of iman. And each of them, what they contribute to is to, inshallah, acquiring a equilibrium in life, understanding balance in life. Because if somebody tries to understand religion without balancing their livelihood, without managing it well, without understanding patience, they do not work. All of the pieces has to be together for this system to work. And in the teaching of Ahlul Bid'ah alayhim salam, over and over has been discussed that our approach is i'tidal. I'tidal, the moderate path, the balanced path, is what is the approach of Rasulullah, the approach of Ahlul Bayt, the approach of Ma'sumin alayhi salam. And if you're looking for tranquility of heart, we have to gain that. We have to get it. And under how to get that, we said number one was time management. That was number one, right? How to get balanced, manage your time wisely. Number two, priorities. Understand that when you say manage your time, it doesn't mean that you have to start first come, first serve. There are priorities. How to understand priorities? Number one, understand sensitivity of time. Because there are matters that are time sensitive. Because even the most important thing, some of them, you have three of them, four of them, all of them are equally important. But some of them are time sensitive, some of them are not. For example, when it comes to prayers, that's one of those time sensitive matters that you cannot postpone it, even if it's in the name of giving charity, and then because you can't give charity after doing your salat. One of the greatest confusion for believers is instead of doing this, do that. You hear it usually, a lot of these well-known excuses come in month of Muharram. They're in attics or somewhere hidden. As soon as Muharram comes, these people, the bright-minded people come. The pseudo bright-minded. The first thing they say, instead of going to majalis of Imam Hussein, go help poor people. And instead of sitting in a majalis of Imam Hussein, go and spend time with an orphan. And instead of doing this, do that. It's always about substitution. When in reality, spending time in the majalis of Imam Hussein salam at this time, it should not be an excuse for us to quit other activities. Rather than we understand how to do it wisely, how to do it properly. Why we should replace this with that. Yes, if there is an orphan crying that and on the way you're coming here, you can attend it, bismillah. That's a priority, you go and attend. But in situations that we're living, that there's no cases, immediate cases, at least as much as we know, sitting and watching TV is not going to be a substitute for that. Oh, I feel bad for the orphans. Because the same person who write that, post that, Oh, and instead of do this, do that, and instead of crying for the orphans of Sayyid Shahada, cry for the orphans of Pakistan or somewhere else. They are the same people. What they're spending their time on the night of Ashura, where are they? At their home watching TV, most probably. They're not actively, in the field of helping poor people somewhere in the middle of Kashmir right now. Because those who are men of action, they speak not as much. Those who are men of action, they do what it has to be done. So don't get distracted by all these excuses that we're surrounded with. Okay. So that's number one regarding when it comes to priorities, understand what matters are time sensitive. There are matters that we cannot postpone, that has to be done at a certain time. For example, when it comes to haqqun nas, people's right, there is no priority over their right. That's it. What I mean by that is, let's say if I owe someone some money, before giving money to charity, to masjid, before giving money for sadaqah, for any cause, priority, the time sensitive is to settle your debt. That's the priority. When it comes, people say, what about mortgage? So it means if I have mortgage, I should never give. I'm not talking about, again, time sensitive matter. A mortgage is a loan that you got and is you're planning to pay it off in a certain amount of time. And we're not talking on the subject of interest and all that, inshallah. We leave that beautiful topic for another opportunity. But when we talk about time sensitivity, is that when somebody have a right over you, you cannot postpone it. Let's say that was a financial right. Somebody could have an emotional right on you. You hurt them somehow. You disrespected them somehow. Postponing forgiveness, asking for forgiveness is not permissible. Tawbah, repentance, is a time sensitive matter. The best time to do repentance is when? When is the best time to do repentance? Bismillah. Answer. Right away. Not the night of, Ashura, the night of Qadr, night of Arafah. There are good opportunities, but the best time to do tawbah as wajib is right away. Fawran, right away. Why? Because it's a time sensitive matter. And sometimes our priorities start to juggle around and we start losing that focus because we don't understand that in the matters of what is most important, which one has expiration date? Which one is something that I have to attend first? That's the reason when it comes to infaq and charity, which one is the priority in the matter of charity? Who is the most, uh, basically at the top of the list of charity? Who is the one that first has to be helped? Parents are wajibun nafaqa. They're not recipient of charity. You must take care of them, not as charity, as an obligation. Thanks for the sister who mentioned that. Let me again repeat. If somebody have parents, and alhamdulillah, they are at the age that they are, baligh and mature, and they have some sort of source of income, the same way they must pay nafaqa, the cost of life and the expenses for their wife and their children, they must pay for their parents too, unless the parents said, I don't want it because I can't take care of myself. Is it clear? So they are wajibun nafaqa. They're not recipient of sadaqah. Oh, some extra, I give it to them, especially if they are in need. If they're working, they have their own life and they don't need your help, that's fine. There's nothing on you. But if they're retired or they're looking for a place to stay or they need rent money or they need some money, allowance is wajib, to make it clear. The priority is family, relative, is relative. They're not wajib on you, but when you give sadaqah, relative is first. Quran says, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَنْ لَا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّهُ. Number one is do not worship anyone beside God. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Honor your parents, not that help them. Honor them. Honoring is different from not disrespecting them. Honor is going further than respect. Honor them. Do not walk ahead of them. Do not, uh, eat before them. These are honoring. Do not raise your voice over their voice. Do not look at them with anger. The list goes on. And then said, وَلِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ. When you're helping, lidh al-qurba is your close one, your relative, are first, and then orphans, and then goes to others. So that's the priority circle we have to keep in mind. Why is that? If you think about it, why Allah said your relative have, why nepotism? Why family matters? Because everywhere said, you have to go after qualities and somebody's, actually qualification. Why, when it comes to helping people, priority goes to relative? Because you know who they are. Most probably you have a better chance of knowing if they're saying the truth or not. And somebody who you don't know, you have to do more research. You have to, dig deeper in order, okay, is this the right place for me to help or not? Are they really in need? Who is in need? But your relative, you know them, your cousin, your sibling, your uncle, your aunt, you know who they are. And if everybody goes from the circles that there are people around them, their relative, and that's the reason when it comes to zakat, fitriya is not permissible to give it outside your city unless in your city they're not Muslim, they're no Muslim poor people. Then you give it, send it somewhere else. But in your own city, if there is a faqir, there is a Muslim faqir that you have, you cannot give it to another city. It's not permissible. That's management and that's priority. So if you can, inshallah, the more and more you study fiqh, the more and you look at jurisprudence, you understand this important. So time sensitivity. What else? The second one is that when it comes to priorities, the word of Hazrat Fatima to Zahra salamullah alayha, al-jar thumma dar. First your neighbor, then you, means first others, then you. That's another priority in our understanding of our religion. In other words, selflessness. So let's say I want to take care of myself and I have to take care of my family and I have to take care of someone, let's say our community. You have to take care of yourself. That's one of the priorities. As we mentioned, you have to have some halal entertainment. But when it comes to priority, it goes to others. So there's going to be a moment, there's going to be a conflict between you having a fun moment, or you can help somebody with a problem. The priority goes to that. Why? Because the more and more people become selfless, the more godlike they become. صبغة الله ومن أحسن من الله صبغة. Color yourself with the color of God. What is the meaning of color yourself with the color of God? It means look at the names and attributes of Allah, try to become like that. If Allah is Rahim, forgiving, be forgiving. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is knowledgeable, try to increase your knowledge. All the names of Allah, that's what we try to do, right? If you look at the Rasulullah and look at the Ahlul Bayt, they are manifestation of the Asma'ullah. They are the one who try to follow the traditions, the tributes, the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the limitation of a creation. They're not trying to become God, God forbid. They try to become creation. It's like when you look at the ray of light, is from the source of it. It has the same uh, characteristics and qualities of the source. So the closer the ray is to the source, like when you look at a light bulb, the closer your hand is to the light bulb, the hotter it gets. So people who are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are hotter in their attributes and understanding attributes of Allah. So now we go to second one. If you want a tranquil heart, number one was balance. Let's finish that. The second, inshallah, quality to acquire a tranquil heart, a peaceful heart, and inshallah, tomorrow night I'll talk about nafs mutma'inna and a short heart, is to be generous. There are studies, multiple studies done by USC in California, one by University of Texas, that they talk about the effects of altruism, people helping others. for the sake of helping, not just because of God or day of judgment, just helping. And the studies shows people who are involved themselves in non-profit work, helping others. It could be for whatever, as I said, altruism intention behind it. They tend to be healthier mentally. They're happier people. There are studies about it, and that's the reason even atheists promote altruism, helping others. And they said, don't help others because of God or day of judgment or getting closer to God. Help other people because that help you live better. And that's, they try to say, we don't need religion to make us feel better. We can do it ourselves. When in reality, there is, as I mentioned, that's uh, a temporary solution to a bigger and more permanent problem. Because when people do charity work, if there's no God, usually there's a lot of disappointment. Because when we help people, usually that positive reaction when we help other people, it makes us feel good about ourselves. When we help others in general, it's something that you extract from others. But in some cases, you don't. You don't. What I mean by that is, say, you help someone, and instead of saying thank you, they look at you and they give you, a couple of curse in return. Are you going to feel good about that? You hold the door open for someone and they don't say thank you. How do you feel? How do you feel? That's the difference between the altruism and doing good work and generosity of a mu'min and somebody who just do good work and help others because of just feeling good. Because the one who do for Allah, they feel good even if the response from the people you help is negative, you still feel great. Quran says, when Ahlul Bayt they helped Surah Al-Insan was revealed, they said, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. We don't expect any reward, any payback from you because we do it for the sake of Allah. We don't want even appreciation. Shukur tashakkur. We don't want even that from you because we did for a greater cause. To get to that point is like Hazrat Fatima praying for the neighbors who complained about her crying after Rasulullah. But she still prays for them. It's the same reason Abu Abdullah and Hussein alayhi salam over and over repeats, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. Is there anyone to help us? Because Hussein alayhi salam does not need the help. He has Allah with him. But even one more person being saved by the message of Hussein, is that the purpose of Hussein? He is the rescue ship, Safinat al-Najah. The nature of a rescue ship is to save people. It fulfilled its potential when you save people. Hussein alayhi salam will fulfill its potential when he is saving even one more person. That why he has to repeat after over and over, get rejected by the same people, why he has to, even after the shahadat of his child, he said, Hal min nasrin yansurna. Not giving up on people, because that's the nature of Hussein. The light gives light, not because people, oh, the light gives light because we're here. Even if we're not here, the light is a light. When you turn on, light is there. A mu'min gives light regardless how people react to it. And that itself brings peace and tranquility. When you're generous, it brings tranquility. So if you want, inshallah, peace of mind and peace of heart, generosity and being kareem creates that sense of serenity. And you see the most aram, the most calm, the most peaceful of people, Ahlul Bayt, which one of them you did not read a story about their generosity? Which one? Which one you didn't read a story about them? Imam Hussein himself, a person knocked at the door, asked for help. Imam raised his hand from the gap of the door, gave the money without showing his face. And then the companion said, Yabna Rasulullah, why? If you didn't want to help him, you should have told us. We would have, reject him. We would, excuse him. Imam said, no, the reason I did not show my face because I didn't want him to look at my face and feel humiliated by me. This is the ideas of Hussein. By the way, if we promote these things, it's not about just making the belly of the poor full. It's even care about how they feel. Forget about just giving a meal to them, is how they feel about themselves. Their even honor has to be preserved and protected. The Quran even says when you give charity, make sure do not remind people of your favors. لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى. Even Quran goes further than that. It said قول معروف خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى. If you talk ma'ruf, if you talk well, well constructed, well, right with people, with the poor people, that right respond, that right word is better than a charity, than a money, than a help that it will follow up with some kind of torment. So in other words, don't give money and remind of people you've been helping them. Oh, I'm the one helped you, by the way. 20 years ago, you remember you need a five, I gave you five. We don't say it like this, but we say it indirectly, which is the same thing. And I always, when we were saying something wrong, how we try to fix it? No offense. I'm not trying to do ghiba. As soon as you hear that, that's a warning sign that ghiba is coming and offense is coming. We think when we say that is gonna, make it somehow acceptable. Being generous the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended to be, it will give tranquility of heart. It's so important that, for example, we have in the time of Imam Sadiq, a man came to him and said, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I had three children. Two of them passed away. I only have one remaining. And I'm anxious. I don't have calm. I can't feel comfortable. I'm worried, constantly worried about my child. What solution, Imam, do you think offered? Imam Sadiq told him, if you're worried, give sadaqah, but ask your child to give the sadaqah with his hand. He had a son. Teach him to do the sadaqah. Do not give sadaqah around his head. You see, we do that, right? We move the money around their head, where it come from, I don't know. The actual thing is that give them the money. Let's say if it's a box, if it's a drawer, whatever it is, to put it there. If it's a faqir, go give it to them. Imam said that will bring sakina to your heart. So generosity has that nature of bringing sakina. And say the Shahada is even generous, that his body is generous, that his ring makes someone happy. That is the generosity of Hussein. When Hur came, this is the same man who caused fear in the heart of Hussein and the children of Hussein. For days, you know that he did not change his side until the last few days. And some said in Tasu'ah, he changed. But the generosity of Hussein is not just money. Is that he forgive his right. He has the right to be upset. He has the right to not forgive a man who caused fear in the heart of Zainab. But as his head is down, as he's crying, the word of Hussein to him is Irfa' ra'saka shaykh. Raise your head. Don't be embarrassed. You came and knocked at the right door. This is the family of generosity and karama. But Allah, how tested Hussein? A test that's the reason that the status of Hussein the way it is. Said, Kulluna safinatun najah. All of us are rescue ships. Was safinatul Hussein asra'. The one that connects you quicker, faster is Hussein. Why? Because of the test of Hussein. The trial of Hussein was much faster. In one day, how many tests Hussein has to pass? Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. Inshallah, one day we say this salam بين الحرمين, between the Haram of Hazrat Abbas and Imam Hussein. It's very soon, inshallah. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب. Let's put our head down the same way his head was down when he came before Hussein. The test of Hussein even continued after his Shahada, after they took his family, after they took Zainab, Imam Zain al-Abidin, Sakina, Ruqayya in chains as captives. Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam was asked by one of the companions, Yabna Rasulullah, you are the family of martyrdom and Shahada. Your grandfather Amir al-Mu'mineen was martyred. Your grandmother Hazrat Fatima was martyred. Your uncle Hassan al-Mujtaba was martyred. So why the musibah of Hussein is so difficult that even years later after the Shahada of Hussein, still you cry for that musibah? The answer of Imam Zain al-Abidin was, you're saying the truth. We are Ahlul Shahada. We are used to sacrifice fi sabilillah for the sake of God. But Isara and captivity was the first for Ala Muhammad. After they put the family of Abu Abdullah in chains and they left, they buried the bodies of the enemies of Hussein. But the body of Abu Abdullah and his companions are on the ground. The bodies of Abul Fadl, the Abul Fadl Abbas and Ali Akbar are on the ground. In some Maqatil said it was the 11th day, and some says in the 13th. Bani Asad, they came to Ghaziriyah and they saw the body of the Shuhada of Karbala, and they wanted to bury the bodies of Shuhada of Karbala. But there is no head on these bodies. How they can recognize who is who? They heard that this is the grandson of the Prophet martyred in the land of Karbala. As Bani Asad are discussing between themselves, how can we recognize? We have a man came and said, people, let me, I know how to bury my father Hussein. The same power who brought Imam al-Jawad to Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam, same power brought Ali ibn al-Hussein Zain al-Abidin, because an Imam cannot be buried except by Imam, cannot be performed prayers upon except by Imam. So Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam came and said to Bani Asad, let me tell you which one is my father Hussein. They prepared a grave. We have that Salama, Rasulullah's wife, in Medina. One night that she woke up from her dream, she started crying and weeping. People gathered and said, what happened? Said, my son Hussein was killed. I said, what do you mean? How you know? You're in Medina, he left. He said, because for years I did not see Rasulullah in my dream, but tonight Rasulullah came to my dream. And I saw him weeping, crying like someone who lost a loved one. I said, Ya Rasulullah, what happened? Why I see you in this way? He said, my beloved Hussein, the light of my eyes, Qurrata Aini Hussein, Maqtul bi Karbala Atshana. My grandson Hussein was killed thirsty in the land of Karbala. Said, where have you been, Ya Rasulullah? I said, I just came back from preparation of the grave of Hussein and his companion. When Imam Zain al-Abidin came to the next to the grave, there was one grave for Hussein alayhi salam, and there was a mass grave for the rest of the shuhada. That's why when you go to Karbala, there is one zari, there's one area for the shuhada of Karbala, because they buried all of them together, because most of the bodies are dismembered. They're not even complete bodies. How can be buried separately? They put them in a mass grave and they buried them next to Abu Abdullah. But there's two more people buried with Hussein. There is Ali Asghar on the chest of Hussein. The Maqatil said they didn't have mercy on the head of a 6-month-old child. They placed Ali Asghar on the body of Hussein. They bury Ali Akbar next to Hussein alayhi salam. Imam prepared to place the body inside the grave. There is no one with Ali ibn al-Hussein. Only Allah knows how Imam Zain al-Abidin buried the body of Abu Abdullah. But when Islam is required, when you bury the body, all the organs, all the pieces of the body has to be buried with the deceased. Ya la yawka yawmika ya Abu Abdullah. When they wanted to bury the body of Abu Abdullah, when they wanted to bury the body of Abu al-Fadl Abbas and Al-Qamah, when they wanted to bury the body of Ali Akbar, there is no head. The head of Shuhada are being paraded from one place to another. As you probably heard in Maqatil, a Christian monk, he noticed that there are heads on the spears paraded before his church. We have that he noticed there is one specific head. He's reciting Quran on the spear. There's not a usual head. Am hasibta أن أصحاب الرقي وأصحاب الكهف كانوا من آياتنا عجبا. Did you think that the story of the companion of the cave was amazing and amusing? Look at this severed head reciting Quran on his spears. We have that this Christian monk went to the leader of the army. He said, tell me, how much money do you want in exchange of letting me having this head for the night? He had all his saving that he had. He brought it and give it to them. The soldier stopped for the night to rest. He got the body of he got the head of Abu Abdullah. He took it to his house. The first thing he did, he washed the head of Abu Abdullah. He start talking to the head. Oh, holy head, tell me who you are. I swear you by my Lord Jesus, tell me who you are. Tell me that how can you reside in this status? Abu Abdullah said started speaking. أنا المقتول أنا المظلوم أنا العطشان أنا ابن رسول الله أنا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. Oh Christian monk, I am the son of Ali, I'm the son of Fatima, I'm the son of Rasulullah. He said, I swear you by Allah, I swear you by Jesus to be my, this is a dua that we have in common with the Christian monk. He said, I ask you to be my intercession for the day of judgment before Allah. The head of Abu Abdullah said, oh Christian man, I cannot do that unless you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. He said the Shahada next to the head of Abu Abdullah. Ya Hussein, who you are, that even your head transformed lives. But what happened to this head after the Christian monk? The Khuli brought him to his house. Now the head of Hussein covered with the ashes. They brought the head to the court of Yazid. Yazid placed the head of Abu Abdullah in front of him. Ya Rasulallah, I apologize for saying this. The head of Hussein in front of him drinking, pouring his drink on the head of Abu Abdullah. Zainab is watching. Ruqayya is watching. Imam Zain al-Abidin is watching. They didn't let them have the hijab of the face. They removed the hijab of Ala Muhammad. Zainab said to Yazid, Yazid, stop doing what you're doing. You don't know who is this. This is the love of Fatima. This is the love of Rasulullah. You should be embarrassed and ashamed of yourself. What are you doing? We have that the wife of Yazid is Hind. Hind used to be the servant in the house of Ahlul Bayt. As Hind came, she's looking from behind the veils. She is even the wife of Yazid, has to be in hijab. But the family of all of Muhammad are being showcased in front of the praying eyes of na mahram. They're looking at them. Ruqayya is hiding herself behind Zainab, salamullah alayha. Hen said, who are these people? Said, these people are from Medina. The moment Hen heard the name Medina, she remembered all the great memories of the house of Fatima, remembered Zainab, remembered Kulthum. She approached these women. She didn't recognize them. How she can recognize the family of Hussein? How can she even recognize Zainab? Zainab aged so much in those days from Karbala to Sham. He said, oh sister, oh lady, tell me, do you know about Ali ibn Abi Talib? Zainab said, yes, I know Ali. He said, do you know Fatima al-Zahra? Said, I know Fatima al-Zahra. Said, do you know Zainab? Do you know Kulthum? Zainab Salamullah alayha said, which Zainab you're talking about? He said, Zainab al-Hashimiyya. It's a Zainab from Bani Hashim. The answer of Zainab, it brings every heart to pain and grief. He said, Hind, if you're looking for Zainab al-Hashimiyya, I don't know where she is. But if you're looking for the Zainab that is a prisoner, I'm here. I am the same Zainab who was honored by Abbas and Ali Akbar before Karbala. But after Abbas fell in the Alqamah, now he is surrounded by Namahra. وألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون يا رب الحسين بحق الحسين اشف صدر الحسين بظهور الحجة. Ya Allah, by the honor of Hazrat Zainab, by the honor of Imam al-Zayn al-Abidin, honor us the ziyarah of Sayyid al-Shuhada very soon. By the honor of the Imam al-Zayn al-Abidin, honor us the shafa'ah and intercession of Ahlul Bayt, especially Abu Abdullah and Hussein. By the honor of Ahlul Bayt, do not leave this majlis empty-handed without getting, inshallah, the answer to our hajat. By the honor of Imam al-Zayn al-Abidin, honor all of those who are ill, those who have the physical pain, the illness of the body, or those who are like me suffering from the illness of sin. Ya Allah, grant us with shifa and healing and recovery. Ya Allah, by name of Abu Abdullah and Hussein, accept our a'mal, accept our efforts to be inshallah for the saving of the day of judgment, the saving for the barzakh, and saving inshallah for the first night of the grave. By the honor of Muhammad and all of Muhammad, honor all of our marhumin, the soul of all of our marhumin and deceased with forgiveness and maghfirah. Let's inshallah finish our majlis with the matam and azab Abu Abdullah and Hussein. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.